rankings. Transparency in promotions, another aspect where there has to be an improvement, and we feel that there should be an improvement in terms of having more transparency in promotions through CAS. So, some of the new proposals, and this is the final section of the lecture. University Grants Commission and the All India Council for Technical Education to be replaced with one higher education regulator, tentatively the Higher Education Empowerment Regulation Agency, which is what many committees and commissions have talked about. But the question is, what is the rationale for having a single regulatory bodies? Because multiple regulatory authorities have overlapping jurisdiction, excessive regulatory regulation and lack of institutional autonomy, ambiguous and subjective norms prescribed by regulators. Several committees, including the Yashpal Committee, the National Knowledge Commission and the Hari Gautam Committee, have recommended the same. So, I am talking about the draft new education policy, which talks about in 2019, which talks a lot about these different proposals which have to be implemented. Graded autonomy, another thing which is going to affect the autonomy that universities are going to get and therefore affect the teachers. The National Institution Ranking Framework adopted to rank all institutions of higher education in India. The framework uses several parameters for ranking, such as resources, research and stakeholder perception, grouped into 5 clusters, and these clusters were assigned certain weightage. The weightage depends on the type of institution, and the performance measured on quality parameters will in future determine the extent of autonomy and the level of regulatory scrutiny they will face. The government has also decided that top ranking institutions will be exempt from the UGC's review mechanism, and therefore, the draft University Grants Commission autonomy, graded autonomy in institutions of higher education regulations 2017 is critical in this regard. Universities either accredited by NAAC with a score of at least 3.5 or ranked in the top 50 institutions of National Institution Ranking Framework will be under the category 1, and universities under this category will be free to start a new course, department and school without UGC's approval. So, you can see that how this is going to affect the teachers in terms of having being able to have more freedom to start courses at a department and school level without UGC approval. They will also be exempt from UGC regular inspections and can make foreign collaborations without the regulator's permission, and their review performance will be reviewed based on self-reporting. But to be eligible for this category, they have to have a score between 3.01 and 3.49 or rank between 51 and 100. That is for category 2. And then finally, institutions categorized as category 3 will be the most regulated universities. They will not enjoy any of the exemptions granted to those in category 1 and 2. And then HEFA, the government has approved the creation of the Higher Education Financing Agency to push for creation of high quality infrastructure in premier education institutions. The HEFA would be jointly promoted by the identified promoter and the MHRD with an authorized capital of rupees 2000 crore. So, basically this is talking about financing the civil and lab infrastructure projects through a 10-year loan, and the principal portion of this loan will be repaid through the internal accruals earned through the fee receipts of the institutions. So, this is encouraging institutions to become more entrepreneurial in nature, to become more self-financing in nature, and this is going to affect the teaching learning process. Along with that, the institutions of eminence, establishment of 20 world-class institutions, 10 public and the rest private, has announced this initiation. The institutions which are shortlisted will be free from regulatory mechanism and can place an emphasis on multidisciplinary initiatives, high quality research, global best practices and international collaborations. So, new policy developments, the government is in the process of finalizing the new education policy, which will focus on equity and quality. Focus will be on ensuring inclusive quality education, lifelong learning, also encourage private participation in the highly regulated higher education system. Government will be giving more autonomy to institutions to pursue research and development and innovation. Several programs such as the SWAYAM have been created to promote online learning and quality benchmarking. The policy also aims at increasing the internationalization of Indian higher education and gives a roadmap for the entry of foreign universities. So, the draft National Education Policy 2019 talks about the energized, engaged and capable faculty and putting faculty back into the heart of higher education institutions. So, there are 2 points here. One is an energized, engaged and capable faculty and putting faculty back into the heart of higher education institutions. Higher education faculty must be valued and supported with excellent preparation and conducive working environments. The prevalent approach of ad hoc contractual appointments must be stopped immediately. Institution autonomy for recruitment. permanent tenure track system for faculty, faculty development plan. Faculty will be empowered to make curricular choices for their courses and to pursue research with academic freedom. So, these are some of the recommendations of the draft National Education Policy 2019, and in conclusion and to talk about the policy recommendations, faculty shortages need to be addressed. We have severe faculty shortages in central universities, in state universities and in institutions of national importance. More autonomy is needed for state universities. There is a need to increase alumni and student representation in government bodies. So, we need to have more alumni, student representation and increasing the representation of teachers in governing bodies. We have a representation of teachers, but we need to increase the representation of teachers as well in governing bodies, so that they have a voice and they are in the Senate, the syndicate, the academic council, the board of studies. More funding is needed for the social sciences. So, these are some of the important conclusions and policy recommendations. Procedures to ensure that the same set of people are not repeatedly nominated to participate in governance while several others do not get a chance. Junior faculty should be given a chance to participate in university governance, which is very important. It should not be the same set of people repeatedly nominated to participate. In colleges, the contribution to research in terms of publication by faculty in peer reviewed journals and participation in conferences must be encouraged. So, that is the end of the lecture. Thank you very much for your attention, and I have covered the important role of teachers in governance. I have talked about role of the teacher recruitment. I have talked about the representation of teachers in governing bodies, and finally, I have talked about the draft National Education Policy 2019, which talks about putting teachers back into the heart of institutions. Thank you very much.